This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. We are seeing more and more stories out there. And of course, we know why they put the stories out there. They're telling you what's coming. And most people out there continue to dismiss these stories about celebrities building bunkers, right? Remember, we're all conspiracy nuts, but celebrities are spending millions of dollars to build doomsday bunkers. Now, of course, we know why. Those of us in the know who are awake, we know why they're building doomsday bunkers, because they're obviously planning on an event to occur where they're going to hide in their bunkers. We've seen this conditioning used over and over and over again. In fact, right now, just recently, we've seen tons of conditioning in regards to movies like Leave the World Behind, Fallout, showing us a post-apocalyptic world. We've even had Fox News covering the story about billionaires building bunkers to prep for an apocalypse. But what you have to note when I show you this clip is how they dismiss it. How they're saying, well, I've got one myself. I mean, I've got a tornado thing out in my yard. I'm working on converting it to a bunker, because of course they know what's coming. But when they use passive attitudes towards the potential of doomsday and they joke about it, like, hey, better be safe than sorry, but the whole thing's kind of crazy. All chaos could ensue. But I don't know, nothing to be suspicious about that people who have millions and billions of dollars are investing it in building bunkers, but they believe that all the stuff that people like me and you talk about is all conspiracy fodder. Of course, they say that it's conspiracy theory, the things that we discuss, because they're the ones who are conspiring. They're the ones who are going to be responsible for some type of catastrophic event like a grid shutdown on the surface level. And of course, we know what they're planning on doing to the surface level. But let me start by playing this clip from Fox. They talk about the billionaires putting all this money into it, but, hey, it would cause a lot of chaos, but it probably wouldn't happen. But hey, maybe it will. Of course it will happen. They're telling you it's going to happen. They're conditioning you for it to happen. They're also conditioning you into how to behave when it does. Look.
Now, Pete, I think that some of these bunkers are bigger than the houses that you and I grew up in, but you've got a bunker, and that it doesn't surprise me to hear that. What kind of bunker are you building out there?
A very simple bunker, Brian. I thank Griff for the shout out. I don't have billions of dollars to build a bunker. Like most people, not a lot of disposable income with lots of kids. So you do what you can. The house we bought came with like a cellar bunker, tornado shelter type thing. So we're trying to modify it to be prepared. But all I'm really trying to be prepared for, Brian, is a grid down situation. I don't know if the zombie apocalypse is coming. I don't know if war is coming. I don't know what's coming. All I know is that when the power goes out, whether you're in Tennessee or New York City, life changes. Within 48 hours, the whole world's different. Within 96 hours, we can't even predict what the world would look like, what our society would look like. So where are you going to get food? Where are you going to get water? Where are you going to get power? How are you going to get it off the island of Manhattan if you want to get off? Or how are you going to go get to your family and friends? Do you have gasoline? Like, to me, it's more just a mindset of having the essentials for 5, 6, 7 days. And then if the grid's really down, well, then maybe only the billionaires survive at that point.
It's funny, growing up, my grandparents had a bomb shelter, and it was really fun to play in it. I never knew that it would be like a serious thing that we'd actually be talking about, Pete. On that note, I want to stick with this theme, but it was interesting that the CEO of that company said that they're seeing a little bit of an uptick as well in areas like Los Angeles, right, where it's a lot of crime that's increasing and people are focusing on security. Do you see that as sort of like another secondary business for these guys?
Big time. Well, that's a huge secondary business, the idea of safe rooms where you can go should you be. I mean, think about places where the rule of law barely exists. The police forces have been thinned out. The 911 reaction time is minutes, tens of minutes when it used to be a minute or two. What are you going to do if there's a home intruder? First of all, a lot of these places you don't even have a Second Amendment right. By the way, I listed food, water, and everything else. Before that, you better have the ability to defend yourself, a firearm and ammunition, because if things really go sideways, that's what you're going to need to protect yourself. But yes, bunkers, safe rooms, weapons. Hey, we can laugh about it, but if something changed, it's going to be the folks that are prepared that are ready to go. It's not a conspiracy. I think it's real life.
So the passive mentality with this is laughable. It's laughable that anybody out there that sees the stuff going on around us isn't preparing for something to go down, because all one has to do is see the fact that the government is sabotaging the infrastructure. They're sabotaging what was once normal. They're deliberately doing this stuff, and they know that by pulling the plug and them going underground, that on the surface all chaos will ensue because they're programming people to act a certain way when stuff does hit the fan, which is why you're seeing them gaslight people with the crimes, and they're pretty much telling people to go commit crimes with movies like The Purge, etc., with news clips day after day of criminals running amok and not being arrested or held accountable. Now, one of the other stories that's really important to note that never gets talked about, that goes hand in hand with the bunker thing, is what I've been talking about for a couple of years, and that's the United States of America is taking our tax money and they're buying, building and putting out there carbon vacuums, right? And telling you it's for climate change. But obviously we all know that they could just plant trees, right? If they wanted to, take care of the carbon emission problem, which doesn't really exist. Geoengineering does, but the carbon emissions does not. What this is about, though, what you need to realize with the carbon sucking vacuums is that they're taking the carbon out of the air and they're bringing it underground. So they're making it so that not only can they live underground for a long period of time, but they can also grow food underground because they plan on growing food underground. On the reverse side of that, what they plan on doing on the surface level is destroying everything. So they're going to use weaponized weather to destroy. And this is their motto. This is basic stuff you could see and realize if you understand what's going on around us, right? Rebirth, Phoenix Rising. These movies that keep coming out, like, for example, Fallout, right? A post-apocalyptic world, what it's going to look like. Well, where's everybody while this chaos is ensuing? Oh, they're underground. And then they come back up to the surface, which is what they're planning on doing. They're going underground. They're using the carbon vacuums so that they could farm and do these things underground that you don't even think would be humanly imaginable. And of course, nobody knows this is going on because it's not reported on the news. If the news came out every single day and talked about carbon vacuums, why they have carbon vacuums, how much underground is actually built out, well, people would say, okay, something's going on here. But all you get are little tea leaves, right? You get little stories about Kim Kardashian, Mark Zuckerberg, Tom Cruise, Shaquille O'Neal, right? Freemason, all these people that just are randomly building underground bunkers, right? There's no relation to one another. Like, well, Mark Zuckerberg doesn't know Kim Kardashian. They don't know. Of course they know each other. And not only do they know each other, they all know that something's coming because these are the people who are planning it. When we talk about conspiracy theory, the ones who say that all this stuff that we say is crazy, that we're the ones who are just out of our mind, we're tinfoil hat wearers, right? But they're the ones who are building underground bunkers with all of their money, and they're actually the ones who are conspiring. So let me just read to you a little bit from this article about, again, they kind of blow it off. They call it bunker mentality, right? Doomsday bunkers are all the rage among the rich and famous. Zuckerberg's developing a 5,000 square foot underground bunker, complete with a living space and an escape hatch for $100 million in Hawaii. Kim Kardashian, Shaq, Tom Cruise, and even Bill Gates has bunkers under their home. So what are they worrying about? What would they be worrying about? Are they worrying about Russia? And we're supposed to believe this. They're worrying about China, right? Some people out there think that they're worrying about us. Well, they are in a sense, because when they destroy the surface, they're going to be nowhere to be found. They're going to be underground with years and years and years of food. And then people on the surface don't realize that after about a week, they're going to run out of food and they're going to start eating each other. And that's what they really are planning on hoping that occurs here, right? We can all sit here and we all say we have food, we have water stored up. But what we don't have any preparedness for is how other people are going to react. Yeah, like the guy said, you could be armed to protect yourself. Yeah, well, when it's just you and your family or whoever you live with, and then there's hundreds of people who get together because they're all starving, and they form gangs and all this type of stuff, well, it's going to be a little bit difficult for everybody out there to have enough food to go around. So it's going to be absolute chaos, and they know that it's coming. And what's the proof that they know that it's coming? Well, it's twofold, right? We could take out all the stuff that they call conspiracy theory, but we could just look at the facts. The facts are that very rich people are all at once. It's not like it's one story where it's like, hey, Tom Cruise is building the thing underground. We all could look at it and go, well, Scientology, Tom Cruise is a little crazy, right? Ha. No. It's all of them. Kim Kardashian, Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, Mark Zuckerberg, big tech guys, Bill Gates, right? Well, they're all networking with each other. They all know that something big is coming. That's why they're investing their money in doing this. And they can't necessarily hide the fact that they're building the underground bunkers because people are noticing the construction zones outside of their homes. So that's the reason that, well, okay. And they also know that by coming out with articles and the news talking about it, deflecting, that people out there will just write it off. And they don't really care because when crap hits the fan, they know that nobody's going to run to the Kardashian house. And even if they do, they're not going to be able to get into their underground bunker. There's a reason it costs millions of dollars, right? Now, they'll have electricity in their bunkers. They'll be well fed. They're not going to be underground just hiding in a bunker with cans of food. They'll be living the same type of disgusting lifestyles that they live, just underground, and they'll all be communicating with each other while we're all on the surface level. So we have to keep in mind the notion of the destruction of the surface, right? The destruction of God's creation, the earth, and why everything is being built below. Also keep in mind, as above, so below. I know it pertains to heaven and hell. I understand the occult's meaning of it, but think about that as well. How obsessed they are with the Baphomet and as above, so below. And the fact that they're doing this on the surface level where they do things like put carbon vacuums out there to suck out carbon, and people just, they don't even blink. They're like, oh, that sounds cool, right? And you're just like, well, why would we let them spend our tax money, 1.2 billion? That's just what they tell us. Who even knows how much, right? 1.2 billion to suck out carbon. Like, well, they're doing it for the environment. Well, do you know what a tree does? Does anyone know how photosynthesis works? Is that not a thing anymore? That used to be what they would call science. Now, of course, well, science is that men can have babies, right? And they have to take poison in your body that doesn't cure you or make you immune from something, but you have to do it because science says so. So we have carbon vacuums, all this stuff. We have all these stories about celebrities. We have all these movies. Don't forget the importance of Leave the World Behind, right? With the bunker and the bunker door and the little girl going underground. And most notably as well, that we have these people who are preparing, right? Kevin Bacon's character in the film, if you didn't see it, Kevin Bacon, his character has all that basic survival food we've all seen all over the place, right? Patriot Supply, my 4 Patriots, there's a bunch of them, right? He's got that food. He's supposed to be playing the role of us, right? He's prepared. But what happens when the prepared man is prepared and crap hits the fan? Well, all the people who aren't prepared come to his door. They don't go to the Kardashian store. They come to our door. And they expect us to give and help them out. And if not, well, it turns into a wild situation. But here's just a clip, what you could expect, of course, if you are prepared, what you could expect in a sense from some of these other people out there who are the ones who are silencing us, censoring us, and calling us crazy.
It's got to have something to do with that noise.
You know something about the noise?
Microwave weapons, they call it, produces a kind of radiation that can be beamed out through sound. I assume it's a war. The beginning of one, anyways. This has to be what they were chattering about.
Chatter, what do you mean, Chatter?
You got to read the papers deeper than page 1.
And knowing how primed you are for these kind of situations, we're thinking you might have some medicine that'll be able to help you.
What I got isn't your business.
We're friends.
That's the old way, George. You're not thinking clearly. When the world doesn't make any sense, I can still do what's rational, which is protect my own. You do is your business.
Now, if you have some medicine that can help him,
Well, we could pay $1,000.
Cash might not mean much if the government falls.
Well, the whole network's down. There's no Venmo or Apple Pay. I mean, cash might be the only thing that means something.
I suggest you try your neighbors, the Thorns. They did a basement conversion on the down low doomsday bunker.
come on, Danny, you can't desert us like this.
Haven't you been picking up on what's going on out there? We've all been deserted.
The only way this ends is if you get back in your vehicle and drive away now.
All the roads are blocked. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do right now. I can barely do anything without my cell phone and my GPS. I am a useless man. I am begging you, please help my son.
We made a lot of enemies around the world. Maybe all this means is a few of them teamed up.
So, of course, when all that happens, the people who are silencing us, trying to cancel us, trying to do all these things to us, allowing the government to pass laws to censor us, they're going to be just ignore the fact that we were telling them this is going to happen because, again, they're going to believe in the built-in boogeyman who is supposedly responsible for it. They're going to believe whatever narrative is given to them, and there will be narratives fed through radios, etc. When crap hits the fan, don't worry about it. It'll be there. What you'll have to deal with is how do you combat it, right? This is about bringing America to its knees. The other people message me like, is the whole world's going to go off? America specifically is going off, okay? I don't know what the plan is for other countries, but they've been telling us we could see the programming, we could see all the stories about the power grid. They're prepping you for it. And of course, it would be the government. All it would be, whatever narrative comes out of it, you got to remember, is them pressing a switch. And all these people that you see building bunkers, they know ahead of time. That's why they've built the bunkers. And they know exactly when it's happening. And they will all be going underground. And they will not be coming up. And even if you think to go to their home or something along those lines, which will not occur, people will not have gas. They all live near each other in rich places. All the rich elites know, right? Regular civilians are going to just go after one another. And they're not going to be able to get into their bunkers because they're going to be, the money that they're putting into it isn't just for food. It's for security, right? I'm not talking about Mark Zuckerberg, with an assault rifle. I'm talking about Mark Zuckerberg having unopenable, titanium doors that you're not going to be able to get into these places without, them allowing you to get in. And that's never going to happen. So stories like this should get people going, hey, you know what? Why am I hearing stories about bunker mentality every single couple of months, right? Every few months. I do a story about this because every few months there's articles out there. This one's from March, right? And then Fox News a week ago talking about survival of the richest. And people shouldn't be listening to this going, oh man, these crazy guys with money. They should be looking at it going, there's something up. Something is going on. There's some conspiracy here. There's conspiring between these people. Because they wouldn't take their money and throw it down a toilet, but they want you to think that way. They want you to think, wow, they have so much money, they don't know what to do with it. That's what they convinced everybody. Oh, they have so much money, they don't know what to do with it, so they're just doing this, right? Then you're like, wait, isn't big tech the one silencing people who are speaking out on this, right? And big tech, all these big tech guys are the ones who have these massive bunkers. And we're not talking about the bunkers that you could rent out. We're talking about massive, massive bunkers in a lot of places that you don't know about. We're talking about Alaska, we're talking about Antarctica. They're all over the place. And just a small group of people they expect to come out on the other side of this, which is them. And they expect us all on this surface. We won't be able to grow. They'll still be hitting us with weaponized weather, etc. And that's how it's all going to play out. So they want you to see this stuff, and they want you to laugh it off and dismiss it. But everyone out there should be, their brain should be working. They should be seeing. They should be going, you know what? This doesn't make sense that like random people like Bill Gates, okay, and then you have Kim Kardashian, then you have Shaquille O'Neal, basketball. How do they know? And then you see common traits, right? Shaquille O'Neal, proud 33rd degree Mason, right? Bill Gates, another one, right? We see these guys in secret societies out in the open, Skull and Bones members, right? Like the Bushes, etc., who are all also building underground bunkers. They just want you to think that they're kooky with their money. They do weird stuff. But the fact of the matter is people should see stories like this and they should say, there is some conspiring going on because they're all doing it. And they're not doing it because they see the other one do it. And they're like, that would be cool and neat because they know something's coming. That's what a conspiracy is. They're conspiring. And they clearly have a date in mind. And it's before 2030 for this stuff to go down. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. Be prepared. Be prepared. I'm not trying to get you all worried and upset. I'm just telling you, be prepared because I've said it before. One of the hardest aspects of everything that's going to happen is being mentally able to handle it. Right? There's one thing to have food. It's one thing to have water. It's another thing to be able to mentally handle life without electricity. A lot of us look around, we go, oh, we could do it. I'm not naive enough to think that it'll be very easy for me. Okay? Because I get it. I mean, I'm uploading onto the internet, right? I use lights. I'm not Amish, right? Even the Amish will be affected in a sense, right? They might not use electricity the way we think, but they still drive and do certain stuff. They don't go, to Walmart in a horse and buggy. And they might not go to Walmart in general, but you get my point. I mean, we've seen Amish people out and you go, how do they get there? Well, they allow themselves to use a car. Oh, okay. Right? They use fuel for a lot of stuff that they have as well. So we can look at it and we can be like, oh, we're going to be prepared, but mentally. And then you have to factor in all of these people who are getting conditioned with movies like The Purge, Leave the World Behind. I mean, there's thousands of them, World War Z, thousands of zombie apocalypse movies. This is what they're referencing. This is what they're referencing, how people are going to behave. They're using the actual zombie as a metaphor for these people. But the reality is these people are walking zombies. The people who think that nothing's going to happen, and then when it does happen, they still won't say, hey, you were right or anything like that. And it's not about being right. They'll still be so prideful that they'll think it's whatever the government tells them instead of being suspicious of these people with stories like this and saying, why do they have a bunker ahead of time? Yeah, it's the same people who are like Bill Gates who says we're all conspiracy nuts, right? Yeah, go figure. I thank you for being here. Hope you're all well. God bless you and your families as always.